off by thanking you for coming here today. We've had a relationship since 2016. Um, One thing that is easy to say is that you've always been a supporter of the labor movement. You have walked picket lines with our brothers from DC 33. You know, you've gone back to what you started at, the grassroots. You recognize that that's been an impact. I've seen you on our buses talking to the riders. I've seen you talking to our members. And what I love is that you're just not one who is going to talk. You're going to show up. And one thing that I was just thinking today, I was thinking today is when you're successful, they may take you out of Philadelphia, but when you get to DC, they're not going to be able to take the Philadelphia out of you. And that I appreciate. Um, my executive board and our union, we voted to endorse you. And I know you a long time as a friend of labor, supporter of public transit in this tough environment. For my members, other less familiar, for my members that are other less familiar with your record in Pennsylvania State Senate, would you mind telling our viewers about some of the fights on behalf of working people and the riding public?
Well, one, I want to thank you for your endorsement, and I have Representative Cephas here who's working with me because we work, and I wanted her here because we work so closely together to fight for mass transit funding, both on big projects and small. Sort of everybody looks at what's going on with the getting structural funding, but in the short, but there's also funding for individual projects. I'm proud that the Broad and Olney Transit Center and the Broad and Erie Transit Center are two projects in my district I got funded, but I understand the congressional district is a lot bigger, and there were projects all over. We need to get capital money. That's something that as a member of Congress, we've got to do. And one of the things I know the rep pointed out is that one of the reasons that SEPTA has structural funding challenges is not because it's not run well, is because the infrastructure is so old and it needs to be replaced. And so so one of the things I want to do as a member of Congress is make sure we secure real funding for the infrastructure. And as a member of the state legislature, we got to make sure we get dedicated funding for mass transit. Something I've worked on, something really important to me. I rode mass transit for years, getting to school as a young person, and then even earlier in my life when I had hoopties, they were frequently not working, and so I would SEPTA, but I always knew I could get where I needed to go because of SEPTA. I want to thank you for that. One important Rep. See if you want to talk a little bit about some of the fights we've had.
Absolutely. I think the great thing about the senator going to Congress is that he understands that it's not just about fighting for mass transit for the city of Philadelphia. It's about fighting for a transit system that moves this entire region. So we're talking Bucks County, Montgomery County, Chester, Delaware County, and it moves 800,000 people on a daily basis. And the way that happens is with the workers from the Transit Workers Union. So that's why it's super critical and very intentional about you all supporting him to go to Congress, because he not only was on the 52 bus talking to the ridership, talking to the men and women that move the system, but he understands that it's not just about the senior citizen going to their medical appointment. It's not just about the young kid traveling to Central High School like we both did, but it's also about that medical technician that's coming from King of Prussia, going down to the University of Penn Medicine to handle those radiation appointments. It's about the $4 billion economy that comes to the entire Commonwealth of Pennsylvania that he understands. And again, it's not just about our riders. It's not just about our transit working unions members and men and women, but it's about the building the rail tracks in Harrisburg. It's about building the windows for the system in Lackawanna County. It's about building the seats in Cumberland County. It's about an entire economy that is represented by investing in mass transit, and the fact that the senator understands that and understands that you have to make the case not just for urban cities, but you also have to make the case for roads and bridges, and we're collectively all in it together when we talk about infrastructure. That is going to be important when he gets down to Washington, D.C., and we know he's going to be ready on day one to not just have those conversations with people that think like him, but it's going to go to the districts that we need to convince, and he's done that throughout his entire career, and I know he's going to do that in D.C.
Yeah, and one of the things that the representative brought up, the chairwoman brought up, and it's so important, is that you all are the union that literally powers the economy, that powers everything. We know that the SEPTA region includes five of only 6 counties in the state that are revenue positive. And so you all power without SEPTA, most of the Commonwealth wouldn't have enough revenue. And without the TWU workers that man it, SEPTA wouldn't work. And so we really do thank you. And that's true of so many other places. And not only that, our roadways, you take cars off the roads, and therefore it's environmentally sustainable. So your endorsement of the folks who literally power the region that powers the state is so important. And I appreciate it.
Yeah. Considering I graduated from Frankfurt High School in '95, I won't hold you Central Lancers accountable for this, but you do have a history of being able to reach across the aisle, and that we respect. And we're talking about a Senate that was not dominated by Democrats, and so time and time again, you have shown that you're willing to just reach over and work with them.
Yeah, because we got to be able to get things done. Yep. Barack Obama called it the fierce urgency of now. Michelle Obama said, do something. Regular folk in the neighborhood, like, yo, what you going to deliver? Well, the reality is, I'm proud to have delivered. And when I'm privileged enough to go to Congress, I'm going to always still have a partnership with my colleagues in the state legislature. Rep. Cephas chairs this delegation. I'm proud to have the support of the overwhelming number of my colleagues from Philadelphia.
Yes. When you talk about the word deliver, there's another topic that we here at the Transport Workers Union have been trying to deliver for over a decade now, and it's legislation on assaults on our operators. And you were the co-sponsor of legislation that was named after one of our members, Bernard Gribbon, assassinated, who he was just senselessly gunned down while doing his job. The bill that you supported in his name would establish tougher penalties for those who harm our transit workers, and I want to thank you for that. Securing legislation of that nature isn't across the finish line yet in Harrisburg or Washington. What can be done, and what should be done?
Well, I think we got to continue to work with folks and explain what's going on in terms of the assaults on workers. You know, if you assault a police officer, right, or a teacher, that's an enhanced penalty. And the reality is, because if you're on the bus, you're doing your job. If people get on the bus, we don't want them to think it's okay to assault folks. So in some cases, we heard of people even spitting on officers, bus drivers, or SEPTA workers. We need those folks to be there. They can't just walk away. If you and I get in a dispute and we're just walking down the street and you're not on the job, either person can walk away. The reality is that SEPTA operator, it's critically important to all of us that he or she be able to stay there and continue to do the work. And so, because there's an there's a diminished ability to leave, there's got to be an enhanced penalty for going after that person while they're on doing that work. And so, I think what we got to do is continue to educate people about really what's going on so we can protect those workers.
You know, with that being said, Senator, on behalf of the 5,100 members of TWU Local 234, I am proud, I am glad to throw our endorsement behind you. I wish you luck, and I hope to be there with you when you cross this finish line.
Look, I appreciate your endorsement, and for all the folks out there, look, if you can, for members of TWU, for people for your family members, our campaign has been powered by folks who are here. I tell people all the time, it's the people that pick up your trash, the people that you see when you go to a government office, people that build your buildings, the nurses that you see, the firemen that come to save you, and the people that get you around. Those are the folks that support us, and so thank you. And those folks, because most of your members are from here, work here, for here, you can just make sure the folks out there who are watching this get the message out to their friends and family, because that's how we win. People say to me, you know, one side's got socialists from New York dumping millions of dollars in. The other side's got money coming from Lord knows where, but millions of dollars in there. What do you have? And I say, we got the streets of Philadelphia. And so now we've got the folks who move the buses and trains up around the streets of Philadelphia. And I appreciate it. And guess what? With your support, definitely on election day, the streets are coming, and we're going to win this election.
Thank you.